We asked Reddit users a question and selected the best answers for you. Comments are left by different people and may contradict each other. What's the worst this that you've ever had? What happened? 1. Thought it would be hard to get slapped in the face, so I asked to be slapped in the face. I was promptly slapped in the face. I found out very quickly I do not enjoy being slapped in the face. Answer to answer. Similar story, although instead of a mild slap, dude straight up blackhanded me, hard. Taught me a lesson. If you want something, communicate specifically, like how hard you want the slap, lol. 2. When I was 18, I dated a guy who was still a virgin. I didn't have lots of experience, so it was totally fine and not awkward at all. However, when we started having this, we were at his place, and since he was living with his mom, I suggested he turn on something so she wouldn't hear us. For me, it was totally clear that by turning something on, it was meant to be music or maybe a show. I kid you not, this dude turned on Peppa Pig on full volume. Answer to answer. In his defense as a parent, if I heard Peppa Pig on the other room, the last thing I'd think is that this was going on in there. 3. Play with oneself and not realizing I touched poison oak. Answer to answer. Oh, I think we have a winner. Ask 2. Play with oneself without realizing I had jalapeno juice under my nail. My kitty burned like fire. Answer 3. My ex was once touching me with fingers after we had chopped a bunch of jalapenos to make chili. PSA, washing your hands twice is not enough. 4. Probably a guy that wrapped his legs around my head while I went down on him. He squeezed so tight to the point where I couldn't breathe. My lizard brain started to panic, so I bit down to make him stop so I could breathe. Answer to answer. And I thought mine was bad. Forgot it was day 1 of my period. Had this in the backseat of his mom's car. Completely destroyed. An absolute crime scene. Answer 2. Reminds me of my first time. She didn't realize she was on her period. I get up, turn on the light afterwards, and there's a bloody hand print smeared along the wall. Looked at the bed and I was afraid I'd murdered her with my tool. 5. I was absolutely obsessed with this guy when I was about 18. He was completely my type, so handsome. Finally, ended up back at his, and things heated up real quick. I was giving him head, and he said that he was going to finish. Then he said, "Oh no, I've got something much better." And then he pissed in my mouth. I was in absolute shock. We never spoke again after that. Moral of the story: discuss your kinks before you make love. 6. Ex decided to be fancy, and she took a mouthful of champagne before giving me a BG. Bubbles from the champagne went up my D-hole. Incredibly painful. Don't recommend. 7. He put on latex gloves and lube, which I thought was weird, but I kinda ignored it. And then he shoved a breath mint up my ass without telling me. He said he saw it on the internet, that it would enhance the sensation. And then he got angry at me when I asked him what the hell is wrong with him. LMAO. Answer to answer. For science, I feel compelled to ask, was the sensation enhanced? Answer. It was not enhanced. I did feel it rattle around a little bit, though, as I tried to get it out. 8. He sucked and licked my thigh and then bragged about how he ate that kitty. 9. Hooked up with an Italian guy who refused to take his large gold chain off. It swung so hard it hit me in the face and gave me a black eye. 10. My ex-girlfriend, who thought that touching with fingers consists of pulling down the foreskin as far as possible with the most violent strokes, she managed to slightly rip my frenulum. Edit. Guys, thanks for the upvotes, but I'm kind of embarrassed now because I didn't expect so many people will read my comment. Haha. FYI, everything healed again and works as it should. My ex was very sweet and passionate and was good at everything else, only touching with fingers were not one of her strengths. 11. I was giving a guy a BG after drinking tons of red wine. Threw up red all over him and his white sheets. I apologized, we laughed it off, and I thought everything was fine. 2 weeks later, I came over to hook up with him again, and he hadn't changed or washed the red vomit sheets. Answer to answer. Red wine gets better with age, everyone knows that. Answer 2. Honestly, not the turn I was expecting. Ew. 12. A guy told me to go see a doctor because I didn't finish. LOL. 13. First time I got a BG, the girl said, I am the best at giving BGs. I swear to God, I thought I stuck my D in a cheese grater. It was like that one episode of SpongeBob where he grinds the chocolate bar with his teeth. It was my first experience ever though, so I just assumed it's supposed to be that way. Needless to say, further experience has proved it to not be the case. 14. Worst this was actually with an NFL cheerleader. It was horrible. I don't know how I would really describe it other than she just could not get the angles right. Her back was always at the wrong angle. She would move weird. There was a time, I remember, going, just stop moving like that, almost laughing as a joke because it was so ridiculous just how weird these angles were. All around, 2 out of 10 experience. Not even enjoyable. But she was an incredible dancer. I mean, a truly gifted talent. When you saw her move, you would think this girl must be an absolute freak in the shits, but nothing could have been further from the truth. But she sent me funny memes, so that's a win. Answer to answer. I dated 2 ballerinas, not at the same time, who moved like water on stage, all fluid and grace, but the moment they were off stage, they were literally the clumsiest people I've ever met. 15. Being questioned by law enforcement because she ended up dead. Hot or not hookup, aging myself, in a random hotel. We drank, we danced, we woke up in the morning and showered together. She laid back down to sleep and I left. She never checked out of the hotel. She passed in her sleep from undiagnosed heart condition. Autopsy confirmed, but law enforcement had plenty of questions. Scared the shit out of me, and I swore off internet dating hookups for a long time. 16. My first time. I was at a thing for 2 age where you stay at a college. This girl I made friends with started flirting with me. And the next thing I know, we're in her room. A good way in, she seemed to be sad. I was confused and asked her what's wrong. She then bursts into tears and tells me that her dad recently got diagnosed with brain cancer, her dog died that week and that she hated her life and wanted to end it after she lost her virginity. It was a very awkward experience that I didn't know how to handle. Luckily, she didn't end up killing herself and seems to be doing well now. Edit. We were in the process of having this when it happened. 17. Her dad walking in after I'd literally just finished. She still had just a skirt on, but there is me standing proud and looking very pleased with myself. Fair F's to him, he stammered sorry and closed the door. Needless to say, dinners afterwards were interesting. Answer to answer. Ha! My mom walked in on me and my girlfriend once. We were going at it doggy. The door opens. She looks at me. I look at her. My partner shoves her face in a pillow. My mom closed the door, goes outside and drives away for a few hours. We never talked about it. 18. Getting told by my ex she had herpes whilst I was inside her wasn't great. 19. I went down on my ex. It was going pretty well. She was on the sofa and I was kneeling on the floor. Next thing I know, her dog came up behind me and licked me there. The ultimate jump scare. Edit. It totally killed the mood, but we laughed about it after. 20. I really like this guy, and we had made plans to go out but had to keep it on the DL, 'cause apparently a friend in his group had a crush on me. After heading out a few times, he invited me over to his place. He was so nervous, he barely spoke a word to me, so we put on a movie. I grabbed his hand and gave him the signal to cuddle up to me. He then proceeds to climb on top of me and make out with me while dry effing my leg. He's a very skinny guy, but the weight of him on top of me made it feel like I was getting clobbered with a bag of remotes. I asked to slow down a bit, but he got up pretty quickly and went to the bathroom. About 20 minutes goes by and he still hasn't came back, so I went up to the door and asked if he was okay. There was a crash and then a bigger crash, so I opened the door. There is water spraying everywhere and the sink was on the ground. He had apparently taken a pill to calm down and grabbed onto the sink when he started to feel the pill kick in. We shut off the water and I decided that I should put him to bed and leave. I kept telling him that he should lay down and he must have interpreted it as another attempt. I tucked him in and said that we could try again when he's feeling a bit more composed. As I was turning around to leave, he started to cry out, "You're not even gonna cuddle me, you witch! I went through all of this for you." Needless to say, worst experience ever, and any feelings that could have been there are far, far gone. 21. Was giving this really attractive, well-endowed guy a BG this one time, and he nears climax. He says, yes, I'm finishing, I'm the effing champion. And then he proceeded to just sort of lay there, eyes closed, randomly shaking every few seconds. I said his name a few times and he was just blacked out or something. I was so embarrassed.